You may know that the Vikings beat Columbus to America, but did you know Columbus wasn't the second, but the third European to reach North America? You may have heard the 13th Amendment ended slavery, but did you know it is still legal and practiced in the United States? You may have a favorite dinosaur, but did you know none of these are dinosaurs? Learn the truth behind these and much more in my new book, Facts That Aren't True. Link in the description. Do we have any evidence where 100% of the outputs are identical? I don't know what
No,
that
I'm saying
means.
so I shoot a basketball, let's say, right? Whether it goes in or not is based on the velocity, the angle of approach, there's all the if I drop a glass, the speed of what glass breaks at, is there anything that where you provide the same inputs into something that the outcome would be different? Like, is there anything that if we knew exactly like where every molecule hit something, do we have anything so spontaneous, like something different could happen?
I don't think so.
Okay. So that's why creationism is not dumb, because
But that's
obviously
not what living things are like.
something happened for a single cell organism to approach, right?
Yeah, but single-celled organisms are not a computer simulation where you know exactly what's going to happen after the 100th iteration. They interact with their environment, and their genome is capable of spontaneously changing.
But if I take a basketball shot, like I told you, 100 times with the exact
This
same
is not
inputs,
a
it's either
one-step.
going in or not.
This is not a one-step process.
And then wait, you'll get your
You
turn.
are
We're gonna go in order. We're gonna go in
assuming,
order,
Daniel, you are
Silico. I'm almost
assuming-
done. Give me 2 more minutes and I'll be done.
Excuse me, but I'm the researcher here.
I don't care. We're going in order. Wait.
Daniel, I have to stop.
Can I just
This
finish
is
for
not
2
a
minutes and then
one-step.
you're ruining this, please? So
This is
radio
not a
background
one-step process.
the radioactive background the microwave radiation that we see at the end, like for Big Bang, right? We really don't know if we are hypothesizing that it's the Big Bang, but really we cannot see back to the Big Bang. We can only see 300 million years before the Big Bang, and we've hypothesized the first couple 100 million years, right? Or after that.
But the mere existence of the CMB was a prediction of the Big Bang model, and we found it. Now you can say it doesn't, with 100% certainty, confirm the
That's
Big
all I'm
Bang. But if there was no CMB, that would have been the evidence that disproves the Big Bang.
Yes,
and
agreed.
that's not what happened.
Agreed. But it's not, we don't know if it's actually, we know that it's not disproven yet. And then my last point is that people have a hard time understanding scales of time. We've been around, actually intelligently, for maybe only 2,000 years. When we're talking about 200 million years ago, intelligently, human intelligence, when we started writing down stuff, 5,000 years, doesn't make a difference. We're talking on a scale of 300 million years. And the only DNA that we've found, conclusively, is in teeth for 1 million years ago. So people are trying to convey that they know what happened 300 million years ago with DNA, when there's no evidence of 300 million years old DNA. So no one knows what the hell 300 million year old DNA was. Now, Notorious, it's your turn.
DNA.
Planet, please mute everybody in order. Mute me too, and let Notorious talk.
I'll let them talk, but I don't know.
I'm gonna submit my time to biology and let her go.
I'll do the same. That's fine.
Thank you, Notorious. First, abiogenesis is not a one-step process. It's a continuous process, and we have observed the first stages of it, starting with the Miller-Urey experiments that gave us the basic amino acids and the early nucleobases, and it has been repeated over and over again. Do we have the full developmental stages? No. That's why abiogenesis is still a hypothesis. It's not a theory yet. That's the thing. It's not a one-stage process. It's not a, now we have a cell. No. It takes a long, long time. And we could discuss here the full-blown evidence that exists for it, for the RNA world theory, for the DNA world theory, for how these stages have happened, all of those things. Second, regarding the 300 million year old DNA, We don't need 300 million-year-old DNA to understand the evolution of our own DNA. We are able to track the mutations and track all of those differences between the humans and between several
Yeah, you can
different
only track the
species.
last million years. That's the thing. There's 300 million years.
We
Yeah,
can
but
track,
yeah, but
we
you can
track
make
way before.
predictions based on if evolution is true, there should be genetic similarities.
Predictions are almost like guesses. Almost. They're a little bit better than guesses.
No,
They're so much better than
no.
that because again, if the evidence had been if we found statistically or whatever that there's like literally zero correlation between any species, then that would have been absolutely fatal to evolution. We know what the evidence that would have disproven it was, and that's not what happened. We kind of already did that, an example just like
I've
that
agreed
before.
with you already
In
that you can
fact-
disprove things but you
fact-
cannot predict what actually happened to reach the result because you're just
fact-
guessing about what could have happened to make this result. You're
We
not
can
guaranteed.
track-
With extraordinary sophistication, we are
No
guessing.
chance. Show me where there's extraordinary sophistication.
In fact, we
Genomics?
can track. Yay, my area, computational biologist here.
Genomics are only 1,000,000 years old.
No.
Way over that.
No. Again, if evolution were true, it would mean certain things about the genetic relatedness.
No, it wouldn't. You don't know
would-
what happened in 250 million years. You don't have no samples from
When
there.
you track,
You don't need to, because what we look at is the animal kingdom when we can determine which are the animals or which are because we can do it with plants too or whatever, which are the organisms that are most similar. And once we found out how genetic information is transmitted, then we were able to say, aha, now if all this evolution stuff is true, if organisms over hundreds of millions of years were passing on genetic information and changing slightly over time, then the signature of that would be in the genetics, and exactly what we thought we would find, we found.
Only
I'm going to
1,000,000
go
years
step
old,
out.
my friend.
I'm going to go step out. No, because
Because
I don't know how to I don't know how to say it any more clearly for
Pearson,
you. So.
could you discredit the fact that 250 million years ago, because you have no evidence, someone just plopped in, dropped, and just switched everything up, like straight
Is there
sci-fi?
any
alien
evidence
stuff.
of that? No.
No, there isn't, but it's not disproven.
Right. We have yes, but
No,
what
it's
we
not.
have
You
done.
have no evidence of anything that happened back then.
I was saying yes because I was agreeing with you, but we
Okay.
only have evidence of one particular explanation, which means it's the only explanation that makes
That we
any
have now.
rational sense to go with.
That's great, but it's not. Don't think that it's not gospel. as just to throw in
It
something.
is to a point that you can track.
I'll be back in like
mutations
1
on
minute.
the OX genes, which are the genes that make the basic structures for animals, and we can track those mutations over all of the different orders of animals. Inclusively, we can even track that it was because of the one retrovirus that entered the early mammals that we have the type of nervous system that we have nowadays. Because of the myelin sheet that we get, that gene for that myelin come from that retrovirus. So yes, we know things from billions and millions and millions and millions.
Not
of
billions.
Years ago.
Not
Because
billions is only carbon dating and fossil.
Daniel,
Not genomics. Let's be
May I
honest with you.
interject real quick, if that's okay?
No problem.
Can you make that last statement again?
To who? Me or Silico?
Yeah, no, what you just said about how long ago.
Yeah, so I'm guessing from what I've seen so far, correct me if I'm wrong, woolly mammoth teeth about 1,000,000 years ago is the oldest genetic material.
Okay.
No, we don't need old genetic
And then-
material.
And then you stated that we have no evidence that DNA was that far away, and we only have carbon dating.
No, I'm saying there were fossils that we know that are older. So we have like carbon dating. So we can see rocks from like 3.5 billion years ago or whatever, and we can see that there was animals, fossil records from dinosaurs. But we don't have any genetic material guaranteed. Now there's claims
Can
of
I- can
genetic
I-
material
can
from
I
120 million years ago,
explain
but
this
it's not
again?
really like for sure.
It's still failing to understand. Daniel, we don't need all genetic material in order to understand the genetic evolution of Earth. We can track and compare all of the single living organisms that exist on Earth. And from that, infer the types of mutations that required from one species to move to another species, to another family. Inclusively, I was trying to explain to you, and you keep talking over me, and that's not nice, that we know that one single retrovirus is responsible in the early mammals for the myelin that allows us to have the complex nervous system that we have as mammals. One single retrovirus that entered in the population.
Talking over is wild, though. Oh, you're not done yet. Sorry.
If I can ask you a question, Silico. So in Peterson's previous conversation with Mike, they were talking about, new genetic material or expression.
I kept putting that on comments.
So from what I understand, you can have mutation. Now you're also saying
horizontal gene transfer mutations and retroviruses.
And
Yes.
so are those the only two?
Three things. Two of them are major.
Oh, three.
Horizontal gene transfer and retroviruses do enter in a population groups of genes, not just one. Yeah. Entire groups of genes.
Hybridization happens too. Oh, sorry. It's more common in plants, but hybridization happens as well.
We are hybrids. Come on, Peterson.
Well,
we are
yes,
hybrids
true.
with Neanderthalensis and Denisovans.
Yes, also very true. Okay, so Daniel, here's what I want to say, because you're coming at us with just, well, it's possible that it could be something else too. Like, yes, but I usually give a very simple example of this. Do you think the sun orbited the Earth 1 million years ago? Or, sorry, the Earth orbited the sun 1 million years ago?
Yes.
Do you have evidence of that?
There's probably, if I went to go research, I probably would get like really good evidence of that, based off of other planets and the sun's life. How long? Because remember, we've aged the sun based off of how much fuel it's used and its core. And stuff like that.
I'm not talking about whether or not the sun existed. I'm talking about, do you think the alternative would be maybe 1 million years ago the sun went around the Earth instead of the other way around? Nobody thinks that, but we don't have evidence to dismiss that.
And we don't.
But there's no good reason to think that that's the case.